Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hello, welcome to Lead Pedal Podcast. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. This is episode number 965. And today we're going to tell you how you can protect your fleet. That's right, we're going to be talking with Terry Reinert, and Terry's with Fleet Defender. And I got to tell you, this episode is going to be a wake-up call for many of you, especially you that are owner-operators or in charge of a fleet. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll get into it for you. Hey folks, are you an owner-operator looking for a place to call home? Well, Rims Transport is based out of Hamilton, Ontario, and that's right, they are a place, owner-operator fleet only. They run flatbed out of Hamilton, and they don't run much more than 500 to 700 mile radius. So if you're looking for a place that you can get back home on a regular basis, you can get good miles, they have a great culture for owner-operators, and they want you to succeed, then Rims Transport's the place to do that. Where can you learn more? Go to rimstransport.com. Make sure you tell them that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you, and we want you to be successful. We know them personally over there, and we know they're going to take good care of you. You got open board, you've got tandem US, you got multi-axle US, you got city, you got all kinds of positions available there, all owner-operator fleet. So if you want to be successful for 2023 and beyond, then get on with Rims Transport and tell them we sent you. All right, everybody, talk to you later. Go to rimstransport.com. Now, Terry came to me through one of his marketing people here, and Fleet Defender, I didn't know what it did really, but you know what? Cybercrime is on the rise. And this episode got me thinking to how vulnerable we all are with the way technology is being included in our vehicles, in our home life. Heck, I can't even get my internet to work, so how's... If someone was to break into my car, I don't know what I would do. And Terry's going to share some secrets and some information on how you can protect yourself and what you need to start thinking about as a fleet, because this is becoming more apparent as you've seen many big box stores and stuff get hacked, and it causes them quite a bit of strife for a while until they get things settled. There's ransom, there's all kinds of stuff in there that a lot of us don't think about. And what about the driver? What if you're driving down the road and you got hacked? What is going to happen there? I can tell you, folks, this is a scary, scary episode. But make sure you take some notes, because Terry gives some great information on what you need to know to make sure that you are protecting yourself. And I got to tell you, most of us probably aren't. All right, so stay tuned, and we'll be right on the line with Terry Reinert of Fleet Defender. Hey everybody, you've heard of Rosedale Transport. Well, you know, they've got tons of opportunities for you no matter what you want to do. You know what? It doesn't matter what terminal, because they have terminals all across North America, and they are looking for owner-operators, truck drivers, and other team members that might be of interest. The best way to find out all the information about Rosedale, the history of a 50-year company that's stable and rock solid in the industry, is to go to rosedalegroup.com. That's right, just go to rosedalegroup.com, and you can see all the opportunities. Look under the careers tab. You'll see what's available. You'll see they've got 800 employees, 2,500 happy clients, 15 offices, and 50 years of trust. And when you get there and you talk to them and you say, hey, you know what? I want to be part of your team. Make sure you tell them that you heard about it from the Lead Pedal Podcast. All right, rosedalegroup.com. Tell them we sent you. Bye. All right, everybody, on the line, I've got Terry Reinert, and he's the CEO of Fleet Defender. How are we doing today, Terry?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. Glad to see you come out. Glad to see you. I guess are you on your way down? Are you going down to Matt's at the end of the month? Or do you go to the Mid-America Truck Show?
I don't think we're going to be at that one. We did just come back from TMC. We were down in Orlando for that last month. Okay, all right. Yeah, go to the warm. That's it. You know, last year I was in Louisville. It was freezing. So smart. Go to the warm shows. That's the way I look at it too. Yeah, well, exactly. We were actually looking to go into Automotive Europe in May. Okay. We're still trying to figure out if we're going to make it to that one or not. But I mean, Germany in May doesn't sound bad.
No, you're probably okay there. So tell us a little bit about you. You're the CEO of Fleet Defender, and we'll get into what Fleet Defender does here in a moment. But how'd you get into transportation? You've been in this industry for a long time, or what happened?
Yeah, you know, actually, I would say I'm more in the cybersecurity industry, and we just happened to apply it to transportation. So back in, I think it was around 2010, I was working within the Department of Defense space as a government contractor, and we started looking at the cyber vulnerabilities of vehicles. and just kind of grew from there. So I've been looking at everything from trains, planes, trucks, automobiles, spacecraft. We call them platforms. I've been looking at the cybersecurity kind of platforms for over a decade now.
Wow. And I think I was reading that you've done this for some big outfits, including the military. Did I read that correctly? Or you were in the military or?
I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps. Feels like a different life ago, a long time ago, but back when I was young and invincible. And, but yeah, so I was served in the Marine Corps for about 5-6 years, and then got a couple of engineering degrees and cybersecurity degrees, and been kind of in cybersecurity ever since.
Well, thanks for your service, but it's amazing to see that. That's why you've got to. So now tell us what the Fleet Defender does, and we'll get into kind of specifics after that. But so Fleet Defender, okay, you're protecting my fleet, but how?
Right. Yeah. It's there's a couple of different things. There's kind of three, main areas that we look at. And one is the cybersecurity of the vehicle itself. I don't know if people are, becoming aware that vehicles are hackable, to use some of the buzzwords. There's a lot of vulnerabilities in the systems. And when attackers gain access to those systems, there's a lot of different scary things they can do. So we look at it from that perspective. We look at it from a driver safety perspective. So trying to help understand how the driver is actually operating the vehicle, and then coach them on how to improve their safety and be more efficient. And then the health of the vehicle itself. I mean, that's really important as well, is, what is the current state of the vehicle, and how can we predict what maintenance is going to be needed, and how can we make sure that the vehicle is safe for the driver to operate.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Now, yes, we've heard this. I know it's been on the news here in the past here in Canada about being your vehicle could be taken over by, and we've had there seems to be more people breaking in and hacking into some of these big companies. I'm sure you guys have heard as many as we have up here. So what does that look like for a fleet? I mean, there's more technology coming in the trucks. There's more telematics out there. Drivers are already overwhelmed. I mean, you talk to any driver about, dash cams or anything like that, and they're already, that's more than I ever signed up for. And now we're looking at what you're doing here. How do you protect the fleet from someone hacking in? I don't even know where you would start. There's so much technology.
Yeah, the technology stack is huge. I mean, there's everything from back office applications that are running in the cloud all the way down to, tablets and apps running in the truck that the drivers are actually using. And so what we call the attack surface is really, really wide. Where we really focus at is we focus on the vehicle itself. And protecting the vehicle itself. So if someone's actually trying to hack into the vehicle or implant the vehicle with some kind of malware, whether it's ransomware, whether it's espionage, whether it's sabotage, like that's where we come in, is protecting the vehicle itself.
Okay, so now I'm not cybersecurity. I'm from the trucking industry. I drove for 25 years, so I'm one of these drivers. So I'm picturing myself, I'm driving down the road in my beautiful truck that I've got. How would someone hack into that? Would it just stop? I mean, I've already got that in my pickup truck, and the other day we had a big snowstorm up here in Canada, and it messed up the sensors. It was telling me someone was, like, I was following too close to someone when there was nobody in front of me, because I think there was snow on the sensor. So what's it feel like to a driver then? Like, I'm trying to picture myself as the driver. I'm being hacked. What would that look like? Is the truck going to start taking over itself, or what? You tell me.
It really depends on the attacker and what they're trying to accomplish. Like if they're trying to just, collect intelligence on the driver. And I mean, obviously they're not targeting the driver. They'd be targeting the fleet. Like they want to know where every truck's going, what it's doing, how long it's there, things like that. The driver would never know. Right. Because we're going to be very, as an attacker, we would be very covert and stealthy about what we're doing. Right. But if we wanted to do something a little bit more newsworthy, shut off the engines of the entire fleet all at once. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of trucks sitting on the side of the road. If you want to get a little bit more crazy, like if you're actually wanting to cause harm or like even into the form of terrorism, what if, and this is a vulnerability that came out about 6 months ago, lock the brakes while the truck's going down the highway. And there's nothing the driver can do about it. Just lock them up.
You're scaring the crap right out of me because I'm picturing, not only am I picturing going down the middle of the, the 401 and all of a sudden my engine shuts down. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in Canada here. It's like LA. You can't get to the shoulder of the road, even if you want to. And then your second scenario, man, I'm hauling a load of steel. I'm doing 65 and all of a sudden this thing locks up. Like that could kill a lot of people. Like, yeah, I don't want to give any, I'm an honest guy, so I don't want to give any hackers any ideas. I don't want to go too far to that. I was just wondering what a driver would see or feel if something was like with that.
A lot of times, like, it's really hard from a cyber perspective to know that it is a cyber attack because, I mean, is it just the vehicle malfunctioning? If you look at it from an insurance perspective or a forensics or investigation perspective, did the driver do something wrong? And in a lot of these cases, the driver did nothing wrong, but it looks like it because who's really looking for cyber attacks? We were talking to one fleet and we had their whole C-suite, all their executives sitting in a room. And, the one of them looked at the cybersecurity executive and said, hey, how many times are our probes getting, how many times are our trucks getting probed from a cyber attack perspective today? And he said, I have no idea. We have nothing in place to tell us if someone's probing our trucks or not.
And I can tell you that since trucks went technology based or I don't want to say electric, but lots of electronic faults and stuff, drivers have actually stopped, right? How many times, unless the red light comes on, my truck can have a yellow light saying a tire's deflated, and I know it's not. It's the sensor's gone wrong because the cold weather affects it. However, and so a lot of drivers are starting to tune that out. They see a light, okay, the engine's still running, we're good, until it actually stops. So people may not even be aware that something's being, tried on them, especially just driving down the road.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where we come in from a fleet defender perspective. We do what's part of the problem that we cover is called the monitor, detect, and alert, or the MDA. And so we actually have like our software, our device running on the truck. It's watching everything that's happening. And then if it detects something, it does what's called classifying. So it'll classify it and say, like, is this a windshield wiper going bad? As a funny example. Or is this something more serious, like you're actually having some kind of like mechanical failure? Or is it a cyber attack? Is it something like that? So we'll classify what the problem is, and then we can alert both the driver and we actually send a signal to our security operations center to say, this is exactly what's going on and this is what we recommend you do. Is it stop in place? Is it take the next exit? Or is it, finish your drive, take the load, deliver it, and then let's get the truck in for maintenance afterwards.
Okay, so you've got different steps depending on who it is as to which driver. Okay, let's talk about a fleet. And I work with some big fleets and some small fleets. How serious? I know it's serious. I know you're going to tell me it's serious for everybody, but I can tell you that most of us, it's not top of our top 10 today. It's, right. We're just trying to get the truck down the road and all of that. Who should be starting to think about this? Somebody who's hauling dangerous goods, somebody who's hauling electronics, or is it going to be loads where people go, okay, in Brampton here, we've got one of the top areas, I think, for theft already behind Los Angeles. That's a little scary. Brampton's where I grew up. It was a nice small town. Now it's become the top two. So how does a fleet decide we really need to look into this, other than somebody, the big fleets might have an office who's, yes, we need to protect ourselves, however, but a lot of people, that's not their top thing to think about.
Right. Yeah. With cybersecurity and all of this stuff, it's all about risk management. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of like coming in and like trying to scare people or using fear to make sales. Like I don't believe in that approach. Right. I believe in just doing a true risk management approach. And that is understanding, one, like you said, what are we hauling? Yep. And who's after that, whether it be thieves, whether it be an adversary to the United States or Canada that's looking for, to actually harm our economies? Is it the kid down the street that is just curious and trying to see what they could do? So you just got to do a full risk management and just really understand what your risk is, and then decide, like, is this something that we should move forward to? One of the interesting things that we've seen is that, if we rewind time and go back to the past, people were attacking like Windows machines. That was the big thing. Like you always read in the news about like another vulnerability in Windows Vista or whatever.
That's why I went to a Mac.
So on. Yeah. And now, like, fast forward to today, like hospitals are really worried about their actual medical devices being hacked and being ransomware. Oh. And those are medical devices. And, go back to 2016 when, researchers hacked a Jeep Cherokee driving down the highway, it live on the news with the reporter inside of it and steered it and, shut off the engine. All of a sudden now, even that is giving attackers the idea of, wow, we could actually do this. This is something we can do. Yep. And then, you look at adversaries to our nations and they're like, well, if we want to prevent their militaries from getting involved in whatever we're doing, then what if they can't feed their people?
Yep.
What if we shut down their logistics supply chains? Their military is going to be so focused on trying to feed Americans and feed Canadians that they're not going to be coming over here and getting in our way while we're trying to do what we're trying to do.
Right. Wow. It's so scary. And, my wife has a Jeep Cherokee. So I remember that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, right now, the Ram, Dodge Rams are the hottest pickup here in Canada. They're being stolen left and right. And I've got one of these. So I'm watching my window all the time, wondering, if it's still in my spot or not. It's funny. I went to lunch with a guy and he didn't pay for parking. He has an older truck. He didn't pay for parking. And he said, I hope my truck's still there. I said, well, if they took your truck, it's because you got towed, because nobody's stealing your truck. It's an old Ford. But if they steal my truck, it's because it's theft, because I paid for parking. But now I'm wondering, like, they're adding so much technology into the trucks, and let's get into, and I don't know where you guys go with this, but electric trucks, autonomous trucks. Mm-hmm. Like, holy geez, your truck could just drive past where you want it to go if it's autonomous. What is this? This must be becoming a more important conversation, I would think, for you and a lot of fleets around. I know when I saw them go, wow, I got to talk about this.
Yeah, it is. It is becoming a much bigger thing with those, with added, electric vehicles, for example, or even autonomous vehicles. You're adding more and more computing power to the platform.
Right.
You're adding more and more ECUs, more and more computers. A lot more autonomy type features that can be leveraged by attackers to do nefarious things. And so what we call is that's like growing that attack surface that we talked about. Like you're creating more things that you have to protect, or more things that I can attack. And so, as these technologies come out, and then it gets even scarier, because right now, like, let's say, we as in like the bad guys, right? Like the attackers, the offensive side. So I got my hacker hat on.
That's okay. That's okay.
If we go after a truck, you still have a human in that truck that can make decisions.
Right.
They can still stop the truck. They can feel that something's wrong.
Right.
Like when you're flying an airplane, like you can just feel when something is different or odd and respond to it. Same thing with the car. And so there's still a human there. When you go fully autonomous, like level 4 autonomous vehicles, there's no human in the cab anymore.
Right.
And how do we know that system is, one, able to make decisions, and two, has the right data to make the right decision? And so it complicates the problem exponentially.
Wow. So what, I mean, I know the solution is Fleet Defender, but what?
Thank you.
I know the answer to that one, but I'm hoping there's going to be a little more to it than that. But what conversation should fleets, even small fleets, and I'm thinking, some of our largest fleets already have enough cameras and eyes and people in the system that could probably see when something's happening. But there's those 2, 3, 4 truck fleets under 10 where the owner's still driving, and he doesn't have time to watch what's going on with his other trucks. He's trusting those drivers that he's hired. What conversations should we be what should they be starting to think about? Where should this be in our operations plan? If I'm planning for the next year and I'm thinking I should buy 2 more trucks, should I be going, forget the 2 more trucks and, buy something that's going to make sure the other 8 are going? Like, what are you suggesting for fleets to get started?
And, I think that answer has to be, figured out by the fleet, right? Like, that's the risk management piece. Like, understand, what you're doing. We're working with a very small fleet, good friends of ours, actually, here in the Omaha area. And all they do is, in their words, they're basically driving around very large bombs.
Yeah.
They do all the caustic chemicals. Yep. They do the jet fuel. They do the this and the that. And so, like, they understand that the damage that can be done not only to human life, but also to the company's reputation and revenue. They understand that that's huge if something were to happen. And so, they have to look at it from a risk management perspective and say, is this a large enough risk that we should actually do something about it? Yeah. Do we just accept the risk? Do we mitigate the risk by buying insurance, by buying Fleet Defender, or, they have to make that decision for themselves. And so we can help with that. One of the things that we're doing is, one of the other pieces too, is we don't want the driver to have to even worry about anything. Like, the best security is the security you don't see.
Right.
And so, like, with our device and our solution, we actually have a security operations center. And, we've got cybersecurity professionals monitoring every truck 24/7.
Right.
And so if something were to occur, they just get a phone call. Like, they don't have to worry about 100 different gadgets or new red blinking lights in the cab or this or that, or they don't have to be trained to say, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do that. Our guys make the phone call and say, hey, this is what we're seeing, and this is what we recommend that you do.
Okay.
And so it just takes that burden off of the driver completely, and they don't have to even think about it.
Yeah, I was running for a chemical company. A lot of my transportation experience was hazmat. And when 9/11 happened, I was actually going down the road with a load of chemical. And the first thing our company did was call everybody and go, watch who's following you, because they were talking about chemical trucks could be used as a bomb, just like you said. And so I remember the call. Nothing happened, but we were, told to be very aware and, don't tell anybody where you're going and, change your route if you, that kind of thing. So it's very much a top of mind, and I can see how that's going to be happening. So, okay. So someone now, how do we start working with you? What's the steps for a company? They've decided this is kind of their top 3 that they've got to work on this year. How does it work? Do they just sign up with you, or is call you and you send them a bill and we're good, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It depends on the direction we go. If you already have existing platforms that we've partnered with, like, for example, Platform Science. If you heard of them, they're the telematics and fleet management device. We've actually partnered with them to do a software only installation. So in the next few months, any fleet owner that already has Platform Science can go to the marketplace and just add Fleet Defender protection to their vehicle, just like that, like super easy. For people who don't have existing things, we have our own piece of hardware, our own cybersecurity ECU that will come out and install into the vehicle for you, and then you're part of the Fleet Defender family. So it's pretty easy, not very hard. If you just go to our website, fleetdefender.com, there's buttons on there you can click to reach out and contact us, and then we'll be in touch.
Okay. Now, does this help if someone's to get that? Our insurance is a big issue with trucking. Everybody's looking at their insurance and renewals and all that. How does this look to the insurance company when someone's looking at their cybersecurity? Is this making them feel more comfortable that they're being protected, or does it not matter? Does it give anybody a rebate? Everybody's looking for a rebate somehow. So I don't know if it does or not, but what are you seeing or hearing from your clientele?
Well, this is still really new and emerging. We are actually talking to multiple insurance companies that insure truckers right now to say, like, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the value that we're providing, and how we're increasing safety, and how we're, from a driver safety, again, vehicle health, and a cybersecurity perspective. There's nobody out there yet that's like, hey, get Fleet Defender and you get 10% off. Right. Like, no one's saying that yet. But I say yet, like, that is what we're trying to work towards. Because what I would really like to do, and this is just a business, point, is if you spend X number of dollars on Fleet Defender, I'll save you twice that on insurance.
Right.
So basically, by buying our product, you're saving money.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the incentive people need. Now, we've been talking about how the criminals can get in, and I'm a pretty positive, uplifting guy. I hate to talk about the bad all the time. I don't watch any of those murder shows. So how can this be used for good? And I don't know how much you know about the human trafficking world, but that's a big issue, and trucking is kind of at the center of it because of where we go and who we see and what we do. Can this somehow be used to tell when somebody's being trafficked? I don't know. I don't even know if it's got that capability. I might be off the back.
That's a great question, honestly. I don't know if I've even actually really thought of that one. With a lot of this stuff, it's all about data.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you have the right data, you can pretty much figure out anything.
Right.
And so I can't say that just the data that Fleet Defender has would in any way, solve that problem. Right. But it could actually provide another data point.
Sure.
For people that are actually, doing the actual research and the analysis and trying to find, people that are being trafficked. It could be another data point that could help, because you'll know everywhere the truck has been, you'll know when it was there. And so if something, a vehicle that you're looking for pops up on the camera, you'd have another data point to know how long did you see it, where, be able to maybe even predict where it was going based on its behavior while it was in view of the truck. I don't know. It's a really great question, though, because, solving human trafficking is a very critical thing right now.
Yeah, I know that the people that have put on the tracking software, whatever one they're using for trailers, that's one of the signs is that, they're giving the driver the route to take. And when they see that go off route for more than a certain amount of miles or time or whatever, they're going, oh, that's possibly something happening. And I know that from a tracking camera perspective, I don't know, or the geo fencing or whatever they're calling it. So I didn't know if they had the same. That sounds really good. It sounds like something, I know that's a conversation. Our Indigo books up here in Canada just got hacked not too long ago. They're telling people like myself to start worrying about that, and how many of us have passwords and stuff all over the place. And I'm starting to worry, our internet went down when we were on vacation and we worked while we were away. And we were like, what do we do now? The internet's down. You don't even know what to do when the internet's down. So it's pretty big. I think you have a podcast. You want to tell us about your podcast? I think on your site, I saw that I don't know if you were just on a podcast or it was your own podcast, but I think I saw that you had some episodes going.
Yeah. So I've been a guest on a few, but we did start our own. So it's called Kill Chain. It's a cybersecurity podcast for platforms. And we, like you said, when we were introducing each other before we started the show, we love to have fun with it. So it's it's not like an uptight, here's the news. It's very much a fun conversation. And I mean, so far we've talked about just our experience at going to TMC or Manifest, some of the conferences. But our last one was actually understanding the cybersecurity jargon. Because like you said, drivers, they don't know about cybersecurity, but now they're hearing all these words what is a vulnerability and what is a kill chain or what is a this or what is a that. So we actually spent a little while talking through well, when you hear this is kind of what it means and why it matters to you. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, is from a driver perspective, and a lot of us now are being told don't talk on the CB radio for those of us still using it, because people could follow you and they know where you're going. Can this, if I'm having a conversation in a restaurant with somebody I don't know and they're of this mindset of trying to hack into somebody, is there things that a driver could be saying, not realize they're actually giving clues to somebody? And I'm not just talking about load necessarily, but, here's how our company operates. Or is there anything like that, drivers should maybe stay if they, I know if someone the other day called me and they were calling about cryptocurrency and there's some, once they got to some certain lines, it's my mind, okay, this is a scam. There was a point where I'm going, okay, this is a scam, not just someone, asking about investments or whatever. Is there something a driver should be watching for if someone's asking me questions in a restaurant or something of, hey, you know what, that's kind of going on a line that, maybe I don't know about or whatever?
Yeah, 100%. So I think the current statistic is 98% of cyber attacks, rely on social engineering. And social engineering, if you want to kind of be funny about it, you've got, hardware, you've got software, and then you have wetware. Wetware is the human, right? And attacking the human is usually easier. Yeah. Within the DoD community, with classified information, anybody that has a clearance is trained. Every year they have to go through training to kind of help spot when somebody is asking probing questions or might be crossing a line. That beautiful woman talking to you in the bar, she might just be interested in you. She might also be a spy for either another company or another country trying to get information. Right. And, it's kind of funny, one of the big ones is, social media is really hurt there because if you ever have to go reset your password, what do you have to do? You have to ask, what was your high school mascot? What was your mother's maiden name? What was this? What was that? All of that stuff people post on social media.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm a graduate of Omaha Public School, the Monarchs or whatever, right? And so like now they know what your high school mascot is, and it gives them just another small piece of information that they can tie into the bigger, file basically on you. And so, yeah, I would be really cautious of what you're saying and what kind of questions people are asking. I think most people have that detector where if they're just aware, like, if someone's asking you very pointed questions like, oh, what are you hauling? Where are you going? Where have you been? Those are pretty critical questions that should kind of clue you into something's not right.
Yeah, well, your podcast sounds amazing. I didn't get a chance to listen to one yet, but I'm thinking if you can find, I don't know if you can find an honest criminal, but somebody who's from that mindset. That sounds like if you get, because I think that would be what's interesting. I think for a lot of us, we hear cybersecurity, we all this technical stuff. We're not technically savvy ourselves so much, and we think it's just above us, or they're not going to. But now, we're starting to see it in our own neighborhoods. We're starting to, see it at our where we go to shop and those kind of things. And, maybe I think people need to realize why they need to have it. So if you need some podcast ideas, there's probably where I would start going, like, why should you be looking at this in your fleet? What should your driver be looking at? Because that's where I think most of us would start, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we want to do. And we're trying to balance too. Like, we didn't want the podcast to be like, oh, we're just trying to sell Fleet Defender, but more of a like educating people, because I mean, even if you go outside of your truck, you're carrying a phone in your pocket.
Yeah.
And that phone has more processing power than all the spacecraft that took us to the moon in the 60s, right? Like it's an extremely powerful sensor suite that's just sitting right in your pocket. And, every day you go home, you've got, Ring cameras or Canary cameras. You've got, an Alexa or a Google Home device, and just so like technology is so pervasive in society today that everybody, no matter how technical you are, you touch technology somewhere in your life.
Yeah.
And so just having just even a basic understanding of just this is what could be possible and this is how you protect yourself from it. I think everybody should know that.
Right. I don't know if you have, before we go here, and without saying any names, of course, do you have a scenario, something that's happened that could just kind of give a picture to people that are listening? I don't know if you've got that, or you may not be able to say, and that's fine too. If you can't, that's fine. I know that's kind of on the spot question, but if there's a scenario that of something that's happened that's helped, give a picture.
There's a few public examples that we can talk about. One's an interesting one. A lot of them's coming out of the Russia-Ukraine war right now. Russia's been attacking the logistics supply chain pretty heavily through Eastern Europe because they're trying to stop the flow of Western aid into the Ukraine. And so I think, as time goes by and more information is released by the governments involved, that we'll see the public will become more aware of what's actually happening in that space. But if you just look at where like Russia stole a bunch of John Deere tractors from the Ukraine.
Okay.
And then the Ukrainian hackers actually went and did what's called bricking. They erased all the software and the firmware in the tractor so they won't work. So essentially Russia basically just has a bunch of expensive, very large paperweights.
Yeah.
And so that just goes to show that like these are John Deere tractors. I mean, running the same protocols as J1939, CAN bus, all the same stuff as a semi truck. It wouldn't be hard to do the exact same thing to a tractor trailer.
Wow. That's scary. And here I am worried about TikTok.
But also another concern, but that's more back to that information leak, right? Like them learning a lot about who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. So,
wow, I am so glad we had this conversation because I just wanted to start. Like I say, probably a lot of our drivers may think, well, that's not really about me, but really it is at the end of the day. And if something like you said, where they could lock up your brakes or shut you down in the middle of the road, there's a possibility somebody's going to lose a life, maybe more, depending on what's happening around them. So that's somebody we should all be looking about. And I think for fleets, that needs to be part of your next conversation, as how this works. How do people reach you if they want more information or to find you? I know they probably go to fleetdefender.com, but I don't know if there's more. Yeah,
that's the best way, honestly, is go to our website, fleetdefender.com. And then you can, fill out the little form. And then one of our, marketing or sales team guys or our client development engineers will be in touch. And we just would love to have the conversation and see if there's any way that we can help make it a little bit safer out there.
Now, does this work all over the world, Terry? Because we are in Canada, you're in, I know I get through a lot of these technology things and go, no, it's only in the US. That takes half of my audience away. Is it available all over? I am assuming it would have to be to work properly, right?
Yeah. Right now we're operating in fleets within the United States, but there's nothing in the technology that precludes it from working anywhere else. Okay. And so, like I said, I think in May we're going to Automotive Europe, and that's going to be our first big foray into the kind of European market. But North America, we're kind of there right now. So yeah, anybody North America, Canada, Mexico, yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to encourage people to reach out or at least put it on your agenda, your next fleet meeting, whoever that might be, and get that conversation, because I think that's very important. Thanks for your time today, Terry. It's been absolutely wonderful talking with you. And I didn't think I would learn that much about cybersecurity. I'm not sure I'm any more secure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and it's just always a fun conversation. So if anybody has any questions, no pressure, please reach out. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Will do. Thanks very much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey folks, have you heard about Transrep? Well, there's a number of services that you may know of that name because they've been around for a while, but you may not know exactly what they do. Isn't that the way with all of us when we have many things on our plate? But let me tell you what Transrep does. Their services include merger and acquisition. So if you're trying to get your company ready for sale, they can help you with that. Consulting services, executive recruitment. Are you someone looking for a better opportunity? And they also help you with business development. Are you somebody trying to get your business going or get your business off the ground? People say when they're going with Transrep, they're going because Transrep is committed to helping their clients reach their goals. They say that they're constantly striving to provide solutions, even for issues they aren't even aware of yet. That's right. Transrep knows when you need some help, even before you know it. They've got an experienced team and a large network which reaches across several sectors, and it's always growing. And they are highly confident in the promise to serve you better. That's right. They don't take their jobs lightly. They know that you need to be successful for them to be successful. So where can you learn about that, their events that they put on, and much, much more? The best place to go is to transrep.ca. Hey, and if you go over there and you're talking to the team over there, would you please let them know that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you? Thanks very much, everybody. All right, so that was a great interview with Terry. If you were not thinking about your system being hacked or your driver being hacked on the road and the truck taken over, hopefully this episode woke you up. And hopefully, I think probably the main thing for us is to have you started that conversation. Have you thought about that part of your network? I know a lot of us are really busy and it's hard to keep up on everything, but that is something that you really need to start thinking about. That should be on the next agenda of your management meeting, and I gotta tell you, it may not be an easy discussion. All right, my friends, hey, thanks for listening to us. If you want to learn more about Fleet Defender, go to fleetdefender.com, and you can certainly learn more about us on our social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can find us on TikTok as well, and also, the best way to get hold of us is through our app, Lead Pedal Media app. That's right. You can get our radio station, our podcast, our video channel, our blog, ways of communicating with all in one app. That is what you want to have. So, hey, check that out. We'd love for you to follow. It's a free download in your device store. And I got to tell you, it's going to be a way for keeping up with all of the stuff going on. We changed a lot of our programming on Lead Pedal Radio as of April 1st. So make sure that you check that out. Go to our schedule, and you can, our schedule page on leadpedalradio.com. And you can find your favorite show. All right, my friends, talk to you later. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.